The waitress looked down on the simple customer, but he was the restaurant owner. Ashley Johnson rolled her eyes when she saw the man in a wrinkled blue shirt sit down at table 15. It was Thursday night at Bella Italia, and she was tired of serving customers who seemed unable to afford a decent meal. The restaurant was packed, with well-dressed businessmen occupying the prime tables, and there sat this plain-looking guy, no tie, ordering just a coffee. "Another one who'll camp at the table for 2 hours spending $10, she muttered to Jessica, her co-worker at the next table over. Richard Bennett discreetly observed the restaurant's activity as he stirred sugar into his coffee. He had just returned from a 2-week trip, visiting suppliers in rural Pennsylvania, and wanted to see how his establishment was running without the staff knowing he was there. He'd deliberately dressed plainly and chosen an inconspicuous table, far from the manager Michael's line of sight. Ashley hurried over to the table, gripping her tray a little too tightly. "Will you be ordering anything else, or is it just the coffee?" she asked, her tone making her impatience clear. Richard lifted his light blue eyes and smiled kindly. "Actually, I was thinking of ordering a main dish. Could you recommend something?" Ashley glanced at his wrinkled shirt. "Look, the dishes here are a bit pricey. There's a simple pasta for $40. Maybe that's better for you." Michael, the manager, watched from a distance. He noted Ashley's disrespectful attitude and made a mental note. There had been other complaints about her service in recent weeks. Richard kept smiling, but his eyes showed a flicker of disappointment. "I see. What if I wanted to see the wine list?" Ashley let out a short, mocking laugh. "The wine list? Buddy, the cheapest bottle here is $150. We've got soda and fresh juice. How about that?" "That's all right. I'll just stick with the coffee," Richard replied, lowering his gaze. Ashley walked away, shaking her head, muttering something about people who didn't know their place. She was 24 and had worked at Bella Italia for 3 years, always dreaming of being promoted to hostess or supervisor. She came from a humble family in Newark and saw this job at the upscale restaurant as her chance for a better life. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us newcomers out. Now, back to the story. Jessica approached Ashley when she returned to the service counter. "Did you see how you treated that man? It was a little harsh." "Jessica, you're so naive," Ashley shot back, straightening the napkins on her tray. "Those types come in here acting important, hog a table for hours, and barely spend anything. It messes with our tips." But he seemed polite. "Polite? Did you see his clothes? Wrinkled shirt, no tie, old shoes. Clearly can't afford to be here." Michael walked up to the two of them. "Ashley, I need to speak with you in the office after your shift. Jessica, can you take over table 15? Ashley's heart raced. Michael had a serious demeanor that always made her nervous. Had she done something wrong? She watched as Jessica walked over to the man in the blue shirt with a genuine smile. "Good evening, sir. Sorry for the wait. Can I help you with anything?" Richard smiled at Jessica, noticing the difference in treatment. "Thank you, dear. Actually, I was wondering if Chef Anthony is still in the kitchen." Jessica was surprised by the specific question. "Chef Anthony? Yes, he is. Do you know him?" "We've known each other for a few years. Could you call him over for a quick word?" Jessica hesitated for a moment, but something in the man's calm, assured voice convinced her. "Of course I'll get him." Ashley watched everything from a distance, curious. Why would that man want to speak with the chef? Anthony was famous in town, having left a 5-star restaurant in New York City just a few years ago to work at Bella Italia. When Anthony stepped out of the kitchen and saw Richard, his face lit up. "Richard, what a surprise. When did you get back from your trip?" "I arrived this afternoon," Richard replied, standing to greet the chef. "How are things here?" "Everything's going well. The new dishes we developed are a hit, but you didn't tell me you were coming today." "I wanted to stop by quietly, see how business is." Ashley felt a chill in her stomach. The conversation between the two seemed so intimate, so familiar. Who was this man, really? Michael was also watching the scene with extra attention. He'd known Richard for 5 years, ever since he started working as Bella Italia's manager, but he'd never seen him dressed so casually. "Anthony, Richard said, lowering his voice. "How's the waitstaff? Any issues?" The chef glanced discreetly at Ashley before turning his attention back to Richard. "Some adjustments are needed. We have great employees, but a few could improve their service." "I see. Let's talk more tomorrow morning, okay?" Anthony nodded and returned to the kitchen. Richard stayed seated, observing the restaurant's activity. Ashley sensed something was very wrong but couldn't figure out what. By 10 at night, the crowd began thinning. Michael called Ashley into the office, a small room at the back of the restaurant, decorated with diplomas and certificates on the walls. "Have a seat, Ashley," Michael said, closing the door. She sat in the chair across from the desk, trying to steady her nerves. "Did something happen, Michael? I've gotten a few complaints about your service these past weeks. Customers, saying you were rude, rushed. But I always serve customers well," Ashley protested. "Just today I saw you handling a gentleman at table 15 in a very disrespectful way." Ashley's face burned. "That man? Michael, he clearly couldn't afford the dishes here. I was just being realistic." Michael sighed deeply. "Ashley, it's not your job to judge whether a customer can afford the menu. Our job is to treat everyone with courtesy and respect, no matter how they look." "But no buts. I've had similar complaints about other customers. You need to improve your attitude or I'll have to take more serious action." Ashley left the office feeling humiliated and angry. In her mind, she was just being practical and efficient. Why waste time on customers who clearly wouldn't spend money? The next day, Friday, Ashley arrived at work still stewing over the conversation with Michael. Bella Italia opened at 6 in the evening, but she always came in at 5 to help set up the tables. Jessica was already in the dining room folding napkins. "So, what did Michael want yesterday?" "Oh, nonsense. Complaints from annoying customers." Ashley replied, avoiding details. "Speaking of which, that man at table 15 yesterday was interesting. Did you see how happy Chef Anthony was to see him?" "They must be friends from somewhere," Ashley said dismissively. At 5:30, Richard arrived at the restaurant, but this time through the staff entrance. He greeted a few cooks and went straight to Michael's office. "Good morning, Michael. How was last night after I left?" "Everything was normal, Richard, but I need to talk to you about a delicate matter." Richard sat, signaling he was listening. "It's about Ashley, one of the waitresses. I've been getting complaints about her service, and yesterday I witnessed an unpleasant situation." "With which customer?" Michael hesitated for a moment. "Actually, it was with you. She treated you quite rudely at table 15. Richard chuckled softly. "Oh, that, yes, I noticed. She implied I couldn't afford to eat here." "Exactly, and it wasn't the first time. We've had similar situations with other customers she deemed not the right fit for the restaurant." "How do you plan to handle it?" "I was thinking of giving her a formal warning. If she doesn't improve, I'll have to let her go." Richard paused for a moment. "Let me try a different approach first. I'd like to observe her for a few more days before we make a final decision." "As you wish, Richard. You're the boss." Ashley was setting table 6 when she saw Michael talking to a man in the office. The door was slightly ajar, but she couldn't make out who it was. A few minutes later, Michael came out alone. "Michael, who was in there with you?" "A supplier," he replied curtly. Friday's rush was intense. Executives celebrating the end of the week, couples on romantic dates, groups of friends marking birthdays. Ashley tended to her tables efficiently, always more attentive to customers who appeared wealthier. Around 8 in the evening, a well-dressed, black man in an expensive suit and a gold watch sat at table 12. Ashley immediately approached him with her brightest smile. "Good evening, sir. Welcome to Bella Italia. My name is Ashley, and it'll be my pleasure to serve you tonight." "Good evening, Ashley. I've heard wonderful things about this restaurant. You've made an excellent choice. We have exclusive dishes prepared by Chef Anthony, who worked in the finest restaurants in New York City. May I recommend our special appetizer?" The man smiled at the attentive service. "Perfect, and I'd like to see the wine list as well." "Of course. We have magnificent imported wines that pair beautifully with our dishes." Ashley brought the wine list and explained each option in detail, suggesting expensive wines and elaborate dishes. The man ordered an appetizer for $70, main course for $120, and a bottle of red wine for $250. Excellent choices, sir, Ashley said, jotting everything down with satisfaction. Richard watched the scene from a discreet table in the corner. He'd arrived again dressed casually and asked to be seated in a quieter area. He witnessed the stark difference in how Ashley treated customers based on their appearances. When Ashley passed by his table, Richard called out to her, "Excuse me, miss." Ashley turned, recognized the man from the night before, and sighed quietly. "Yes? I'd like to order something to eat today." "What did you have in mind?" she asked, her enthusiasm lacking. "I was thinking of the shrimp risotto and perhaps a glass of wine." Ashley looked at him in surprise. "The risotto costs $85, and the cheapest glass of wine is $45. "That's fine, you can put it in." She hesitated, puzzled that this plainly dressed man was willing to spend so much. "Are you sure?" "Absolutely," Richard replied with a smile. Ashley noted the order but remained suspicious. Maybe he was showing off and wouldn't have the money to pay the bill later. As he waited for his meal, Richard watched Ashley attend to other customers. With the well-dressed, she was warm and attentive. With those she considered ordinary, she was impatient and sometimes rude. An elderly woman, elegantly dressed but in slightly outdated clothing, sat alone at table 8. Ashley approached with a neutral expression. "Good evening, what'll it be?" "Good evening, dear. Could you explain some of the menu items? There are so many choices." "Ma'am, everything's explained on the menu. Just pick what you'd like," Ashley said impatiently. The woman seemed hurt by the sharpness. "Sorry to bother you, it's just that I don't know much about Italian cuisine. We have lasagna, pasta, pizza." "The usual things," replied Ashley, drumming her fingers on the table. Richard stood up and walked over to the lady's table. "Excuse me, may I help?" he said kindly. "Oh, that would be wonderful," the lady answered, relieved. "My name is Richard. I've been coming here for years and know the menu well. What do you usually like to eat?" "I enjoy fish and light pasta, nothing too heavy. I recommend the linguine with Sicilian lemon sauce and shrimp. It's delicious and very mild. And for an appetizer, how about some bruschetta?" "Sounds perfect," the lady said, smiling. Ashley watched the scene with growing irritation. Who did this man think he was, interfering with her table? "Excuse me," she snapped at Richard, "but I'm the waitress for this table." "You're right, I apologize," Richard replied calmly. "I was just trying to help." "We don't need your help," Ashley retorted. The elderly lady looked embarrassed by the situation. "We don't want any trouble." "There's no trouble at all," Richard said. "I hope you enjoy your meal, ma'am." He returned to his table, and Ashley mechanically wrote down the lady's order, still annoyed by the intrusion. Michael, who had witnessed everything, approached Richard's table. "Mind if I sit for a minute?" "Of course, Michael." "I saw what happened. I'm really sorry about Ashley's behavior." "It's becoming clear we have a serious problem," Richard said. "She treats customers completely differently based on prejudice. What do you want me to do?" "Let me observe a bit more. I want to be sure before making a decision." Richard's dish arrived, carefully prepared by Chef Anthony. The risotto was creamy and fragrant, the shrimp large and well-seasoned. Ashley brought the plate with a sour expression. "Your risotto. Anything else?" "It's perfect, thank you." Ashley walked away, still doubtful about how this man could afford a bill over $100. At the next table, a young executive finished his dinner and called Ashley over for the check. "Was everything great?" she asked warmly. "Excellent. The service here is always impeccable." "I'm so happy to hear that. Please come back anytime." The executive paid with a credit card and left a generous tip. Ashley thanked him effusively. When Richard finished his meal, he called Ashley for the check. "Could you bring the bill, please?" "Of course," she said, still skeptical he could pay. The total came to $130. Richard took out his wallet and handed her 2 cards. "You can choose either one." Ashley took one of the cards, a black one she'd never seen before. When she ran it through the machine, the transaction was approved immediately, no PIN or confirmation needed. She looked at the card again, surprised. It was an exclusive private bank card, something she knew was only for very high net worth clients. "Everything all right?" Richard asked, noticing her puzzled expression. Yes, it's all approved," Ashley stammered. Richard signed the receipt and left a $20 tip. "Thank you for the service." After he left, Ashley stared at the receipt, intrigued. How could a man who looked so ordinary have a card like that? "Jessica," she called out, "do you know about those black private bank cards?" "I've heard of them. They say only people with a lot of money get them. Why?" "That customer from yesterday, the one in the blue shirt, paid with one." "Really? Maybe he's more than he seems." "Must be," Ashley murmured, tucking away the receipt. Saturday dawned rainy. Ashley woke up thinking about the mysterious man and the black card. Maybe she'd misjudged him. But his appearance was so plain, so normal. She arrived at work determined to find out more about that customer. If he really was wealthy, she needed to make up for lost points. Richard Bennett arrived at the restaurant early that Saturday. He had a meeting scheduled with Michael and Anthony to review the menu for the upcoming season. He also wanted to discuss the situation with Ashley. "Good morning, everyone," Richard said as he entered the makeshift meeting room in the office. "Good morning, Richard," Michael replied. "How was your impression of the last few days?" "I confirmed some suspicions. We have service issues that need urgent attention." Anthony nodded in agreement. "In the kitchen, everyone's talking about some waiters who treat customers poorly. It's hurting our reputation." "Specifically about Ashley," Richard said. "She shows clear biases, treats customers differently based on appearances and assumptions about their spending power." "What do you suggest?" Michael asked. "I want to give her one last chance. I'll run a test." Richard explained his plan. The following week, he would visit the restaurant with two friends, one dressed sharply, appearing wealthy, the other dressed simply. They'd observe how Ashley treated each. "If she repeats the discriminatory pattern, we'll have to let her go," Richard concluded. On Monday, Ashley arrived at work, anxious. Over the weekend, she couldn't stop thinking about the man with the black card. Maybe he'd return and she could make a better impression. Monday's crowd was calmer, business people grabbing quick lunches, some retirees enjoying weekday specials. Around 2 in the afternoon, Richard entered the restaurant with two men. One, William, wore an expensive suit, designer shoes and a gold watch. The other, Marcus, had on simple jeans, a plain t-shirt and worn sneakers. Ashley saw them arrive and immediately focused on the well-dressed man. She recognized Richard, and the third man seemed like an unimportant companion. "Good afternoon, gentlemen," she said with her brightest smile. "Table for 3? "That's right," replied William, the well-dressed one. Ashley led them to a prime table in the center of the dining room and immediately addressed William. "Would you like to see our special wine list? We have some exceptional bottles that arrived this week." "Maybe," William answered. She completely ignored Marcus, who sat beside Richard, and focused all her attention on what she considered the important customer. "And for you," she finally said to Marcus, without much interest, "is sparkling water okay?" Marcus glanced at Richard, who gave a subtle signal to play along. "Actually, I'd like to see the menu too." "There, of course," Ashley said curtly, handing him the menu without looking. Richard observed everything silently, mentally noting each detail of Ashley's discriminatory behavior. "What do you recommend for an appetizer?" William asked. "We have a delicious imported burrata with heirloom tomatoes and balsamic reduction. It's a favorite among our most discerning clients," Ashley replied enthusiastically. "And you," she said to Marcus without warmth, "do you want an appetizer too?" "Maybe a carpaccio," Marcus said humbly. "Sure," Ashley replied, jotting it down, indifferently. The difference in treatment was glaring. With William, she smiled, described dishes in detail, suggested pairings. With Marcus, she was monosyllabic and impatient. Richard decided to test the situation further. "Ashley, my friend Marcus here is a chef at a very respected restaurant. Maybe he'd like to hear some details about how the dishes are prepared." Ashley looked at Marcus with surprise and skepticism. "Oh, which restaurant?" Marcus, following the plan, replied humbly, "A small place, nothing too famous." "Ah, I see," Ashley said, clearly uninterested. Had Marcus named a well-known restaurant, she might have changed her tone. But a small place only confirmed her impression that he wasn't important. William ordered the most expensive dish on the menu and a $400 bottle of wine. Marcus chose a mid-priced dish and water. Ashley Johnson kept focusing all her attention on William, ignoring Marcus whenever possible. When she stepped away, Richard leaned toward his friends. "Did you see the difference?" "Ridiculous," said William. "She treated me like royalty and acted like Marcus was invisible." "The worst part is she doesn't even know me," added Marcus. "She judged me just by my clothes." During the meal, Ashley passed by their table several times, always asking if William was satisfied, if he needed anything, if the wine was at the right temperature. Not even a glance for Marcus. Richard decided to run one last test. "Ashley," he called, "my friend Marcus would like to greet the chef. They work in the same field." "The chef is very busy right now," she replied quickly. "But when I asked yesterday, you said you'd call him," Richard insisted. Ashley had no response. The truth was, she didn't want to bother Chef Anthony, to introduce someone she considered unimportant. "Forget it," said Marcus. "It's fine." After the meal, William paid the bill with a regular credit card, leaving an average tip. Marcus, to Ashley's surprise, pulled out a wad of cash and left. A generous tip in cash. "Thank you for the service," Marcus said politely. Ashley was confused. Why would someone who seemed to have little money leave such a good tip? After the three left, Richard returned alone and asked to speak with Michael. "Done. I ran the test and confirmed everything. The discrimination is systematic and unacceptable," Michael sighed. "What do you want me to do?" "Have a serious talk with her. If she doesn't change immediately, I'll have to ask for her dismissal." Michael called Ashley into the office at the end of her shift. "Sit down, Ashley. We need to have a serious talk." "Did something happen again?" she asked, trying to sound innocent. "I've received more reports about your discriminatory service. You treat customers differently based on their appearance." "That's not true. I treat all customers well." "Ashley, I've witnessed it myself. You're extremely attentive to well-dressed customers and rude to those you assume have less money. But I'm just being practical. Why waste time explaining expensive wines to someone who clearly won't buy them?" Michael shook his head, frustrated. "That mindset is completely wrong. First, you can't judge someone's spending power by their clothes. Second, every customer deserves the same respect no matter what they order. But no buts, Ashley. This is your final warning. One more complaint about discrimination, and you're fired." Ashley left the office furious. In her mind, she was just being efficient and strategic. Why was everyone against her? On Tuesday, she arrived determined to prove she was right. She carefully observed every customer who walked in, analyzing their clothes, accessories, and speech. A man around 50 entered wearing shorts, a polo shirt, and sandals. He looked like a tourist or someone out for a casual meal. Ashley approached him with resignation. "Good evening. Table for one?" "That's right, thank you." She led him to a side table, away from the main seating. "What would you like to drink?" "Do you have craft beer?" "We do, but it's a bit pricey, $16 a bottle." "No problem." The man studied the menu calmly. "This mushroom risotto sounds interesting. How is it prepared?" Ashley sighed inwardly. "It's regular risotto with mushrooms. It's $75. Perfect, you can put that in." Again, Ashley was surprised by someone who looked simple ordering expensive dishes. "Are you sure? It's really quite pricey." The man stared at her. "Miss, I can afford what I'm ordering. Please write it down." During the meal, the man was polite and knowledgeable about cuisine. He praised the dish, its presentation, and the seasonings. He paid with his card without any issues and left a generous tip. Ashley began to feel confused. Over the past few weeks, several customers she had judged as ordinary turned out to have money and culture. Was she misjudging them? On Wednesday, Richard decided to make a more direct appearance. He arrived at the restaurant wearing an elegant suit, designer shoes, and an expensive wristwatch. He wanted to see if Ashley would treat him differently. When she saw him, she was surprised. It was the same man in the blue shirt, but now he looked like a successful businessman. "Good evening," she said enthusiastically. "So nice to see you again." "Good evening, Ashley," Richard replied, noticing the immediate shift in her demeanor. Would you like a special table tonight, sir? Any table will do. She led him to one of the best tables in the dining room, right in the center with a view of the entire space. May I bring you our premium wine list? We have some exceptional labels that arrived this week. Richard smiled wryly. The difference in treatment was absurd. Of course, I'd love to see it. Ashley brought the wine list and began explaining each option in detail, suggesting sophisticated pairings, discussing vintages and regions. Do you have a preference for a particular region? We have a magnificent Barolo that pairs perfectly with our Osso Bucco. Sounds great. You can note the Osso Bucco and the wine you suggested. Excellent choice. I'll personally inform the chef to prepare it with special care. Richard watched as Ashley eagerly headed to the kitchen to speak with Anthony. The difference in treatment just because of his clothes was shocking. When the dish arrived, she made sure everything was perfect before serving it. How is your meal, Mr. Bennett? The chef insisted on preparing it himself. It's wonderful. Thank you. And the wine? Is it at the ideal temperature? Perfect. Throughout the meal, Ashley stopped by the table multiple times, always attentive, always smiling. When Richard finished, she brought the check promptly. I hope you enjoyed everything. It was a pleasure serving you today. Actually, Ashley, I have a question for you. Of course, feel free. Do you remember serving me here a week ago? Ashley hesitated. She vaguely remembered, but didn't want to admit she had treated him poorly. Maybe we get so many customers. I was wearing a simple blue shirt. You suggested I just order pasta because the other dishes were too expensive for me. Ashley's face turned red. She remembered perfectly now. I might have been mistaken. And today, because I'm well dressed, you treat me like royalty. Don't you find that strange? Ashley didn't know how to respond. The situation was becoming awkward. Mr. Bennett, I always try to treat every customer well. Ashley, you treat people completely differently based on their appearance. That's discrimination. I don't discriminate against anyone, she said, raising her voice slightly. Then explain why today I'm treated like a king, but last week you barely looked me in the eye. Ashley felt cornered. She didn't have a good answer. Sometimes I might be tired, stressed. It's not about being tired, it's about prejudice. Richard stood up, paid the bill and left, leaving Ashley stunned and shaken. She spent the rest of the night, restless, replaying the conversation in her head. Was she really being prejudiced? In her mind, she was just being practical and efficient. Michael noticed Ashley's behavior over the rest of the week and saw she was more nervous, less confident. Something had happened. On Thursday, Richard requested a meeting with Michael and Anthony. I did the final test yesterday. She treated me completely differently just because I was well dressed. And when you confronted her, asked Michael. She was speechless, tried to deny it, but it was obvious she knew exactly what I was talking about. Anthony shook his head. It's a shame, she's efficient at work, but this attitude harms our environment. I'll have to fire her, said Michael. I can't risk our reputation. Wait, said Richard. I want to try one. Last approach. I'll reveal who I am and give her one final chance to change. Are you sure? Asked Michael. Yes. If she truly changes, we can keep her. If not, then she'll be fired. Richard arrived at the restaurant on Friday night, dressed casually again. Ashley saw him enter and tensed up. She didn't know how to treat him after their awkward conversation on Thursday. Good evening, she said hesitantly. Good evening, Ashley. Can we talk for a minute? Of course, and is there a problem? Richard looked around and saw the place was quiet. There's something I need to tell you. I'm Richard Bennett, the owner of Bella Italia. Ashley felt the world spin. The blood drained from her face. What, you're the... Yes, I'm the owner, and I've been observing your service these past few weeks. Ashley leaned on the nearest table, her legs shaky. I didn't. No, sir. I'm sorry, Ashley, you treated me poorly when you thought I was just a regular customer, and then like royalty when you saw me well dressed. You treated my friends unfairly. That's unacceptable. Tears welled up in Ashley's eyes. Mr. Bennett, I apologize. I can change, I promise. It's not just about me, Ashley. I've seen you treat other customers with the same prejudice. I was wrong, I admit it. But I need this job, sir. I can improve, I swear. Richard saw the desperation in her eyes and pitied her, but he knew the situation was serious. I'll give you one last chance, but any discriminatory behavior and you'll be fired immediately. Thank you, Mr. Bennett. I promise I'll change. I hope so, Ashley. All our customers deserve respect, no matter how they look. From that day on, Ashley tried to change her behavior. She paid more attention to how she treated customers, making an effort to be polite to everyone. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. But the change wasn't as simple as she thought. Years of deep-rooted prejudice don't disappear overnight. The following Monday, an elderly couple entered the restaurant. She wore a simple, old-fashioned dress, and he had on worn dress pants and a wrinkled shirt. Ashley approached them, remembering Richard's words. "Good evening, welcome to Bella Italia." "Good evening, dear," the woman replied. "It's our wedding anniversary, and we wanted to dine somewhere special." Ashley smiled, trying to be genuine. "How wonderful! Congratulations on your anniversary. How many years?" 45 years, the man said proudly. "That's amazing. Let me find you a special table." She led them to a table with a view decorated with a candle and flowers. "May I explain our menu? We have special dishes that could make your night even more memorable." Ashley made an effort to describe the dishes patiently, suggesting suitable pairings without pushing expensive options, and treated the couple with genuine warmth. They chose modest dishes and a simple bottle of wine, but the experience was beautiful. They felt special and well cared for. "Thank you for your kindness, dear," the woman said when paying. "You made our night very special." Ashley felt good hearing that. For the first time, she realized that treating customers well, regardless of appearance, could be rewarding. Richard, who had been discreetly observing from a distance, was pleased with the improvement. On Tuesday, a casually dressed young black man entered the restaurant. Ashley remembered how she had mistreated people like him in the past and approached him determined to do things differently. "Good evening. Welcome to Bella Italia." "Good evening. Table for one, please." "Of course, I'll pick a nice table for you." She led him to a table in the center of the dining room and brought the menu with a smile. "Is this your first time here?" "Yes, I've heard great things." "That's wonderful. May I explain some of our special dishes?" Ashley carefully went over the menu, answered his questions, and made suggestions without judging what he could or couldn't afford. The young man chose an appetizer and a main course, showed knowledge about wines, and proved to be a polite and interesting customer. When it was time to pay, he pulled out a black card and left a generous tip. "Thank you for the excellent service. I'll be back soon." Ashley was impressed. Once again, she had almost misjudged someone based on appearances. Over the following weeks, she kept trying to improve. It wasn't easy. Sometimes her prejudiced nature resurfaced, and she had to force herself to change her attitude. One day, a middle-aged woman wearing simple clothes and carrying an old bag walked into the restaurant. Ashley's first instinct was to seat her at a side table, but she caught herself. "Good afternoon. Table for one?" "Yes, please." Ashley took her to a nice table and brought the menu. "Would you like something to drink while you decide?" "A fresh orange juice, please." Ashley brought the juice and waited patiently as the woman read the menu. "These dishes seem very fancy," the woman said. "I don't understand much about this kind of food." "No problem, I can help. What do you usually enjoy eating?" "I like chicken, fish, simple things." "We have a delicious grilled salmon, well seasoned but not too complicated, and a chicken risotto that's absolutely delightful." "The risotto sounds nice. How much is it?" $65. The woman hesitated. "That's a bit expensive for me." Ashley took a deep breath. Her instinct was to suggest something cheaper or even discourage the order. But she remembered Richard's words. "You know what? We have a special promotion today for valued customers. I can offer the risotto for $50. The lie came out naturally. Ashley decided to cover the difference from her own pocket. "Oh, that's wonderful. Then I'll have the risotto." When the woman finished her meal, she was clearly happy. It was delicious, Thank you so much for your kindness. It was my pleasure to serve you. At checkout, the woman left a small tip but thanked her repeatedly. Ashley felt good even though she had lost $15 from her own salary. Richard, who had witnessed everything, approached Ashley. I saw what you did. Why did you lie? About the promotion? Ashley blushed. She liked the place so much, but the price was hard for her. I wanted to help. And you paid the difference yourself? Yes? Richard smiled. That shows you're really changing, Ashley. Well done. But not every day was easy. On Thursday, a well-dressed, arrogant man walked in, demanding the best table and treating Ashley like a servant. Miss, I want the window table, and be quick, I'm in a hurry. Of course, sir. Throughout the meal, the man was rude, snapped his fingers for attention, complained about everything, and treated Ashley with disdain. She kept her composure and remained polite. But it was difficult. In the end, he left no tip and even complained about the service. You need to train your staff better, he said as he left. Ashley was furious. Here was a well-dressed customer who was far worse than any humble person she had misjudged before. Michael approached her. I saw how he treated you. I'm sorry. You had to go through that. Michael, sometimes the poorly dressed customers are more polite than the well-dressed ones. Exactly. We shouldn't judge people by their appearance, whether positively or negatively. The experience was an important lesson for Ashley. She began to realize that prejudice worked both ways. The following month, an event truly tested her change in perspective. A black man in his 30s walked into the restaurant wearing dirty work clothes, muddy boots and smelling of sweat. Clearly, he had come straight from a hard day's labor. Ashley's first instinct was to ask him to come back another day when he was cleaner, but she took a deep breath and approached him. Good evening, sir. Good evening. Sorry about how I look. I came straight from work. Can I still have dinner here? Ashley glanced around. The restaurant was full of executives and elegantly dressed couples. The man definitely stood out. Of course you can. Welcome to Bella Italia. She led him to a discreet but comfortable table. Would you like to wash your hands? The restroom is right over there. Thank you, that's a good idea. When he returned, his face and hands were clean, but he still carried the scent of hard work. Sorry about the smell. I work in construction and didn't have time to go home and change. Don't worry about it. What would you like to order? The man studied the menu carefully. Today's my birthday. I wanted something special, even if it costs a little more. How wonderful. Happy birthday. How old are you turning? 32. Then I'll suggest something special. Our chef makes an exceptional lamb dish. It's a bit pricey, but well worth it for a special occasion. How much is it? $120. The man hesitated for a moment. That's pretty expensive, but it's my birthday. Go ahead and put it in. Ashley wrote down the order and went to the kitchen to speak with Anthony. Chef, we have a special customer today. It's his birthday, and he ordered the lamb. He works in construction and is making a real financial effort to dine here. Could you make the presentation extra special? Anthony smiled. Of course, I'll make him a beautiful plate. When the dish arrived, it was flawless. Anthony had decorated it with a special design and even added a small candle. Happy birthday, Ashley said as she served the plate. The man was moved. Wow, you didn't have to. It's beautiful. During the meal, some customers glanced at the sweaty man with clear prejudice amid the elegant setting. Ashley noticed and grew angry at their attitude. When a couple at the next table remarked loudly about the kind of people coming here now, she approached them. Can I help you with something? It's nothing, the woman said. We just find the atmosphere unusual today. All our guests are welcome here, no matter their profession or appearance, Ashley said firmly. The couple fell silent, embarrassed. When it was time to pay, the construction worker pulled out a wad of cash and paid in full, leaving a generous tip. Thank you for your kindness. This was the best birthday I've ever had. Ashley felt emotional. For the first time, she truly understood what Richard had meant about treating everyone with dignity. Richard, who had observed the whole situation, approached her at the end of the night. I saw how you treated the birthday gentleman. It was beautiful. He deserved it. He was making a real financial effort to have a special night. And how did it feel standing up for him against the other customers? It felt right. No one deserves to be judged for working an honest job. Exactly. Now you understand what I've been trying to teach you. Ashley nodded, finally grasping the lesson. In the following months, she became known in the restaurant for her warm and respectful service to every guest. It didn't matter if they were a millionaire CEO or a humble laborer, everyone received the same dignified treatment. One day, an elegant woman walked in accompanied by an elderly lady dressed very simply. It was clearly a situation where the wealthy daughter was taking her humble mother out to dinner. Ashley welcomed them warmly. "Good evening, ladies. Table for two?" "Yes, please," replied the elegant woman. "Is this a special occasion?" "It's my mother's birthday," the woman said, gesturing to the simple-looking lady. "How wonderful." "Happy birthday, ma'am. How young are you turning?" 75, the elderly woman answered shyly. "Let's pick a special table for the birthday girl then." Ashley led them to one of the best tables and brought over the menu. "May I explain? Our special dishes. We have a few options that might be perfect for the celebration." The daughter quickly took over the conversation, ordering expensive dishes and sophisticated wines, but Ashley focused mostly on the birthday guest. "And what do you like to eat?" "Ma'am, we have milder options if you prefer." "I like fish," the elderly woman said. "We have a delicious salmon, well seasoned but mild, and for dessert, may I suggest our chocolate cake with a little candle?" The older woman smiled, feeling special and included in the conversation. Throughout the meal, Ashley stopped by several times to check if the birthday guest was enjoying everything, chatting with her about her life, her grandchildren, and her stories. When it was time for dessert, Anthony prepared the cake with a special candle, and Ashley sang "Happy Birthday," along with other staff members. The elderly woman was moved to tears. "I've never felt so special in a restaurant before." The daughter was impressed by the care given to her mother. "Thank you so much for the wonderful treatment. My mother is very happy." "It was our pleasure. Your mother is a lovely person." Richard observed everything and felt proud of Ashley's transformation. Months later, Ashley had become one of the most beloved waitresses at Bella Italia. Customers returned specifically to be served by her, praising her warmth and professionalism. Michael called her in for a talk. "Ashley, I'm very proud of your progress. You've become an exemplary employee." "Thank you, Michael. I've learned so much in this time. That's why I want to offer you a promotion. How about becoming the service supervisor?" Ashley was emotional. "Really? I'd love that. You'll help train new waitstaff and ensure everyone maintains the same standard of excellence you've developed." The promotion came with a raise and new responsibilities. Ashley dedicated herself to teaching new employees the importance of treating every customer with respect and dignity. One day, a new waitress named Brittany started working at the restaurant. She was young, ambitious, and had the same prejudiced attitude Ashley once had. Ashley noticed Brittany rudely serving a poorly dressed customer and decided to step in. "Brittany, can I talk to you?" "Of course, Ashley. I saw how you treated that gentleman. Why were you so cold with him?" "Oh, him? Look at his clothes. He clearly can't afford to eat here." Ashley smiled, remembering her past self. "Brittany, can I tell you a story?" She shared her own experience, how she had judged Richard by his appearance and almost lost her job because of her biases. "You can't judge people by their clothes or looks. Some of our best customers dress simply. But no buts, everyone deserves respect. And besides, you never know who might be the restaurant owner in disguise." Brittany was startled by the possibility. "The owner comes here in disguise?" "He's done it many times, and he notices everything." From that day on, Brittany completely changed her attitude, treating every customer with the same warmth. Richard continued making his surprise visits, but now he was pleased to see the entire restaurant atmosphere had changed. The staff were polite, respectful, and professional with every guest. A year later, Bella Italia had become known not only for its excellent food, but also for its exceptionally warm service. Ashley was mentioned in several online reviews as an outstanding employee. She had learned life's most important lesson: never to judge people by their appearance, to treat everyone with dignity and respect, and to understand that a person's true worth isn't in the clothes they wear, but in the character they display. Richard was proud to see how a situation that could have ended in termination had turned into a profound life lesson and personal growth. The restaurant thrived, the staff grew both professionally and personally, and everyone learned that respect is the foundation of any successful human relationship. Ashley never judged a customer by their appearance again, and whenever she saw other employees starting to make the same mistake she had, she shared her story as an example of what not to do. The lesson Richard taught wasn't just about customer service, it was about humanity, respect, and the importance of looking beyond appearances to recognize the true value of every person. End of story. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing, tell us what you thought of Ashley and Richard's story. Have you ever been in a situation where you judged someone by their appearance and later realized you were wrong? Did Ashley do the right thing by changing her attitude, or should she have been fired? Share your thoughts in the comments and tell us about your own experiences. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Thank you so much for joining us, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming stories like this one.